Welcome to Run Jump Stomp, a podcast about games because we needed another. You can find the show notes for this episode as well as other content at runjumpstomp.com. This is episode 14 for the week of May 19th, 2015. I'm Bill, your host, and this week we'll be talking about the Nintendo World Championship's triumphant return, Twitch changes, which may or may not be great. Speaking of changes, WildStar may have a huge change in its future. We'll definitely be looking at that. All that and more coming up on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Thanks for listening. A boy and his brother run away from home and hitch cross-country with the help of a girl they meet to compete in the ultimate video game championship. That's the plot to The Wizard, which is a movie from 1989 starring Fred Savage, who made most of his fame from The Wonder Years. Now, after this movie came out, Nintendo actually did a video game championship called the Nintendo World Championship. The last one was in 1990, so I think that they've only done one. And the cartridges that they used in that championship are some of the most sought-after Nintendo or even video game memorabilia in the world. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because Reggie Fils-Aimé announced on YouTube in a wonderfully bad video that they were going to be bringing back the Nintendo World Championship this year at E3 2015. If you want to compete, then you got to go to Best Buy on May 30th in stores in major cities. They're really not giving people a lot of lead time on this. And that's where you can start your journey to stardom. 2 years ago, Nintendo decided to drop the normally live press conferences in favor for a pre-recorded event, which they call Nintendo Direct. I think that this has been very, very good for them, and I think a lot of other game companies are going to follow suit. They're not going to be doing the live press events for a couple reasons. First off, it's very expensive. Doing E3 is an extremely expensive thing to do. I was watching a podcast the other day, The Attack, I think it was. And in that podcast, he was Kevin Pereira. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. For some reason, I have Peralta stuck in my head, which is from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so sorry if I'm getting it wrong. But Kevin Pereira was interviewing David Brevik, who's the guy behind Diablo and the current Marvel Heroes 2015. During that, he said that it was extremely expensive, and it was not something that you wanted to do unless you had buckets of money behind you. Now, Nintendo has buckets of money, but I think they can get the same, more bang for their buck by not going to E3 and doing a big press conference. Instead, just shooting these videos in-house and airing them during E3. I still think that they're getting the same amount of coverage that they would get otherwise. The way that they've actually been doing it has been even better than that. They've shot these videos that has all their announcements on it. Then they have their team of experts called Nintendo Treehouse that play the games and talk about the games and basically do interviews. Interviews where they know all the questions ahead of time, but still interviews. So they gave up on doing the live press conference 2 years ago. They moved to the live demos combined with the pre-recorded stuff, and I think it's going spectacular for them. Adding this live competition to that already really cool formula should really get people talking about Nintendo games during E3. The success that Blizzard recently had with the Heroes of the Dorm competition really shows that, I'm doing the little quote things with my fingers, esports can be exciting. And I'm quoting the esports part. I'm not quoting the exciting part because they are exciting to watch. It is very fun to watch high-level competition of video games. I think the big question is, what games are they going to play? I hope they have a mixture of new games and old games. Maybe they start out with Super Smash Brothers and then follow it up with a retro game, then bounce back to Mario Kart 8, and then maybe back to a retro game, and back and forth between these new things. Now, this year, they're bringing out Mario Maker, so I think the finale would be really cool if it was a series of very, very short but extremely difficult Mario Maker levels, because there would be a lot of back and forth between the players as they tried to compete to finish the whole series first. Maybe maybe there's 10 levels or something, and competitor A is getting stuck on level 2, while competitor B is blowing through levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, but on level 5 he gets stuck there for a while, giving competitor A... Did I say A and 2? I meant A and B. Or maybe I meant 1 and 2, but it's beside the point. So while one person is stuck on a level, the other one can be catching up. And if there's a tie, then you can do it based on who collected the most coins or something, and you put some coins in some really hard to reach places. I really think that Nintendo is doing some very good moves this year. I just wonder if it's enough to save them. I don't think that the Wii U is going to go anywhere. What I mean to say, I don't think that the Wii U is going to do anything for Nintendo this year, especially since they mentioned the NX already. Now, they didn't have a choice but to mention the NX. They had to mention it because they were mentioning their mobile platforms. They had to tell their shareholders, hey, we're not giving up on the console market. Don't worry. We're still developing something. It's called the NX. We're not going to talk about it this year. But the problem is, now everybody knows that there's the NX coming, and they know that it's probably coming next year. Although, I think that they'll do the formal announcement next year, and we'll see it in 2017. So we still have plenty of time before the NX comes out. But this really reminds me of the time when Nintendo said, hey, there's, what was the hardware? I think it wasn't the new 3DS. I think it was a 3DS system. I think it was the 3DS XL. Not positive, but I think it was the 3DS XL. And they said, hey, we're going to release this at Christmas. Or no, I remember now. They said, hey, we're going to release this in February. But they announced it in November. So nobody's going to go out and buy the system that was out over Christmas. That cost them a whole bunch of money. Now, I know some people might say, well, they did the right thing there, because you want to buy the system and then have the brand new one come out right after you bought it. Then you'd have buyer's remorse. So I guess, 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. It's a difficult call. But right now, the call that I'm willing to make is that the return of the Nintendo World Championships is going to be a very fun thing to watch this E3. This week, Twitch sent out an email that said that they were offering a new feature that could reduce the lag so that Twitch broadcasters could broadcast with a smaller delay. If you've ever broadcasted on Twitch or even watched Twitch, you've experienced the delay that comes from the time that your viewers type a question, you respond to it, and they get the response. This could be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. Usually this makes it kind of difficult to have a conversation with the people who are watching you stream. Lowering the delay could have a significant impact on a stream. Viewers would probably be able to viewers would be more likely to stick around, I think. Broadcasters could get feedback from them in real time instead of somebody says something, you've run on past the moment that they're trying to point out, like, hey, look at that door over there, or you missed a place where you could have thrown a bomb. And then by the time the streamer gets that message, it's too late because they've already been past that point for about 30 seconds to a minute. So then they have to turn around and track back. It'd be a lot better if the people who are watching it basically in real time so that they could get the information to the streamer faster. This is an awesome thing, but it comes at a price. The price is that less of a stream will be stored in a buffer on the viewer's computer. Now, I'm not sure why, or that's not true. I understand why. I just wish there was a way around it, because if they could store more, then what's going to happen? Or because they can't store more. Wow, this sentence has gotten away from me. I'm going to start it over. Because less will be stored on the viewer's computer, if they don't have the best internet connection, then your stream is going to stop and stutter more often as you reload the stream to keep up. To that viewer, unless they know about this, it's going to seem like your stream isn't a very good one. Maybe they'll think that your internet isn't very good, when it's in actuality, it's their internet that isn't working very well. If you're doing something particularly awesome in the game, and the stream buffers at the wrong time, the viewer is going to blame the streamer, and they probably won't come back. I'm not sure if I would turn this feature on with that limitation. That's kind of a big deal. What do you think? Would you turn on this feature in order to get more faster communication with streamers, knowing that they may turn away from you, thinking that your internet isn't good enough for you to stream? Let me know in the comments, or send me an email, or you can hit me up on Twitter. SteamDB, which is a website that scrapes the Steam database, may have leaked NCSoft future plans for their MMO WildStar. WildStar is an MMO which came out last year to limited success. It was advertised as an MMO for the hardcore player, and I think that it delivered on its promise. The problem was that there aren't enough hardcore players out there, and so WildStar is struggling. SteamDB found out that they were scraping the database, and it showed WildStar showed up with a billing type as free on demand. Now, free on demand most of the time in Steam means in the database means that the game is going to be listed as free to play. Actually, not free to play, buy to play. So when I say free to play, that usually means that the game is set up in a way where you just hit the button, you start playing. Buy to play implies that you are going to spend some money up front for the box, the digital box, maybe an access code, and then after you spent that money, you don't have to spend any more for a subscription. Let me give you a couple of examples. Neverwinter is a free-to-play game. You don't have to spend a dime in order to play it. You can play it all you want, never spending any money. They make their money from in-app purchases. In-app purchases like more bag space or a mount or companions, stuff like that. Sorry about that. That's Neverwinter. Now, Guild Wars 2 is a buy-to-play game. You buy the box, in this case a digital key. You then get an account, and there's no subscription for you to pay, so you just keep playing, and they also sell you, I want to say like in-app purchases, because that's the common parlance that people understand. But basically, you are paying for things like bag space or an XP boost so that your character levels up faster. Then there's the subscription model, like World of Warcraft. I'm not really going to go into that, but you're paying $15 a month. Currently, WildStar is using the subscription model, and it seems like they may be moving towards the buy-to-play model. This is awesome. The biggest problem with WildStar is that there's not enough people playing. There's some other problems, and I have not played in a while, so maybe they've fixed these problems. But one of the main issues with WildStar is the population on the servers is very, very low. And with low population, that makes it harder to do things like raid or do a war plot, which, if you don't know anything about WildStar, a war plot is set up, it's 40 on 40 PvP. Let me say that again, 40 versus 40 PvP. And basically you have a base that you build. You get to pick what's in the base. If some of your PvE-focused players have gone and killed a boss and captured that boss, you can set the boss up on your war plot to attack the enemy as they come into a certain zone. So it seems like an incredibly fantastic way to play the game. Unfortunately, very few people get to experience it because you need 40 people on each team. That's an 80-person map. So most of the time it doesn't get played. I've never done a war plot. I watched one once on Twitch and it looked fun, although I'm pretty sure my computer couldn't handle it. So here's hoping that SteamDB is correct and that WildStar is going to go to a buy-to-play model. I guarantee I will be playing it again if it does. Gears of War is coming out again. This is really weird. Apparently Microsoft is putting out a new Gears of War remake for Xbox One. This is still unofficial, but apparently testers of the game leaked video from consoles back in April. I missed this. This news sailed past me because I've never really been a fan of the series. I don't have a problem with it. It just isn't really for me. So the people who leaked it, it's just been announced, or not announced, but I guess leaked, that the people who leaked the footage, they had recorded it using the DVR capabilities of the Xbox One. Those people have had their Xboxes banned for an indeterminate amount of time. I feel like they kind of had it coming. They signed an NDA and then they broke an NDA. So them's the breaks. The reason I'm talking about this is because the story is confusing to me. This is a game from 2006. It's not even 10 years old yet. Does it really warrant a refresh? Are the graphics bad enough that you have to go back and pick them up? I always thought Gears of War held up pretty well. Even with its quote-unquote ultra-realistic style, I felt like there was enough style in the art that it held up. But that's just me. I can see maybe in 10 more years when the game's 20 years old, but I don't know if a remake or an up-res of Gears of War is something that people have been clamoring for. I mean, we've been asking for Final Fantasy VII for what seems like forever, and we still haven't got that. Are people posting that they want Gears of War remade? Is it worth plunking down another $60 for it? That's the question that I want to know. Buckle up your ESPN2, or maybe even ESPN1, although I doubt it. But the Heroes of the Storm, wow. I tried to combine Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. What kind of fantastic game would that be? The Heroes of the Storm Championship has been announced, and it's going to... Thank you, Appy Gamer, for sending me a notification in the middle of recording. Let me mute that. The Heroes of the Storm Championship has been announced, and it's going to be at BlizzCon. Not really a surprise to anyone. The game officially launches on June 2nd. However, regional competitions will begin in China in May. The top 8 teams will go to BlizzCon, Will they get all expenses paid, or are they going to have to pay for it themselves to get there? I'm going to guess with Blizzard's money, they can afford to fly these guys out there. I'm sorry, these guys or gals. Don't mean to be sexist. They're going to duke it out for $200,000, which seems like a lot, but other MOBAs have been offering millions for the grand prizes. I'm excited about this. Heroes is an absolutely fantastic game, and it is fun to watch. It is, if anything, is an e-sport. Heroes is an e-sport. It's really, really fun to watch. I watched the Heroes of the Dorm championship. It was the Final Four, and then the Absolute Finals. I didn't watch the Absolute Finals live because it was getting late, so I ended up watching those like 3 or 4 days afterwards on Twitch when it finally came up as a video on demand for it. If you were lucky enough to tune into that show, the announcers were fantastic. They were able to explain what was happening on the screen in such a way that just about everyone could understand what was at stake at any point in the game and why the game was so intense. Another thing that I really liked is that each player had a face cam pointed at them, and from time to time it would point at them. Now, most of the time they weren't doing anything because they were concentrating, but I remember, and if you look back in my Twitter stream, I actually screenshotted it. One guy is screaming into his microphone at his friends, trying to get them to help him out at one point. It was really, it was an intense, exciting match to watch. And it's some of the best quote-unquote sports I have ever seen. And I used to watch lots and lots of sports. I don't watch them much anymore, but I used to watch lots of them. My only problem with this is I don't get to go to BlizzCon. I don't know if I'm going to pony up the dough for the virtual ticket. Now, I play Hearthstone and Heroes, but BlizzCon is more about the announcements, not the spectacle, so I don't feel like I need to watch it. $40 seems like a lot just so that I can watch this competition. I would really prefer if they would just stream it on Twitch and use that to knock Dota and League of Legends off the 1 and 2 places. I mean, would it be a permanent change? No, but right now, League of Legends and Dota are number 1 and number 2 on Twitch streaming, and Heroes is usually down around 20. Now, after June 2nd, when the game comes out, that might change. But if my time, pardon me, if virtual, what I think is going to end up happening, if they did it the way that I want them to, is that the people who bought the virtual ticket would complain that they were getting ripped off because people could watch it without buying the virtual ticket. If my time playing video games has taught me anything, is that these people are probably going to complain anyway. So why not try and drum up the viewership by not restricting it to the people who are probably going to watch it anyway? I mean, these are your hardcore fans. You've got them. They're going to watch. It's in their best interest if more people watch. So make sure that everyone can watch it. That's all I'm saying. And if you do stream it, or not stream it, but if it does go on TV on ESPN2, come on, Blizzard, don't black it out for the rest of us. Luckily, there was somebody very nice who streamed their ESPN stream on Twitch, so people who don't have cable like me were able to watch it. Yes, that's against the law, but I still really appreciate that he did it. Thanks, random dude. Have you ever played Pushmo? I haven't played Pushmo. It looks like it would be a lot of fun, but it also seems like it'd be a risky buy. It might not have enough meat there on the bones of the game to warrant the money that you spend on it. It has really good press, though. A lot of people have given it awesome reviews. I think it's got like a 90-something on Metacritic, which, that's pretty crazy. It's a game from Nintendo for the 3DS, and this week, They announced a sequel, although I think it's already had a sequel. But they announced a sequel called Stretchmo, which is basically the same style of game. And the way that the game works is it's a puzzle game where you can move blocks around. You're like this little round dude, and you can grab and push these blocks. And your job is to get up on top of the blocks in order to touch a flag and end the level. The pushing and pulling of the blocks changes their shape, giving you more platforms. So basically, you are you are making the platforms as you go to get up to the top. The thing about Nintendo is they're really good at taking a simple concept and iterating on it over and over, refining it until it's utterly exhausted and there's nothing left for you to do with it. And then they take that concept and they introduce a new concept and they repeat the process. That's the thing that Nintendo is really, really good at. And I'm looking forward to trying out games like this. The cool thing about Stretchmo is that you can play it for free. It's another of their free-to-play methods. Now, I am heavily doing the air quotes on this one because this free-to-play thing is basically, it has a demo. A demo that has the unlock of the full game built right into the demo. And that's fine. I have no problem with it. The idea that it's free-to-play and a lot of people are posting it as free-to-play, I would take issue with. The main reason I take issue with it is because you could finish the 7 levels that they give you for free in about 6 minutes. I wrote up a quick little, I wouldn't say article, I wrote up my first impressions of it on the website, and I was writing it while I was playing the game. And if you want to read what I wrote, it's at runjumpstomp.com. Well, while I would pause the game, set down the 3DS, and type a bit. It took me about 20 minutes to play through everything, and that's while I was pausing to write. So there's not a lot there. So is it worth getting? Well, here's the thing. It's free to try and see if it really grabs you. Now, it didn't really grab me, and I'm not going to buy the extra levels right now, but I'm also not going to delete it off my 3DS because I did have fun with it, and I could see where they really have a good idea here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it on my DS. And if I ever get through all of the other stuff that I currently have waiting for me, which is going to take forever, then I'll grab it. You can get, I think it's like $13 if you want to buy the different levels individually. But if you want to buy them all, you're probably going to end up doing that. It's $10. So you save the price of one of the level sets. So check out Stretchmo on the 3DS eShop. It's pretty cool. Splatoon is bringing us another test fire event. I'm pretty excited about this. My son ran into the room yesterday with the Wii U controller, and he was like, "What does this mean, Dad?" And he was showing me that there is, by the way, the having a screen on the controller that Nintendo can push advertisements to is a brilliant move on their part. It doesn't even really bother me either, because most of the time they're sending me information about something that I would like to know about, so I'm happy to receive that information. But looking at the screen, it said that there is another global test fire event that's going to be on May 24th at 6 p.m. Sorry, I forgot. 6 p.m. Eastern. If you live in other time zones, just go to Google and have the Google robots figure out what time that is for your time zone. But 6 p.m. Eastern on the 24th. They're trying to really get the hype for this game because it comes out on the 28th or the 29th. I can't quite remember. It's definitely one of those two, though. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's a really, really fun game. And yeah, it's only an hour, but an hour might be probably 15-20 matches, because each match is only 3 minutes long. No, probably around 15 matches. It's incredibly fun, and I really hope that it sells well, because it's going to be a fun game. Blizzard has banned over 100,000 WoW accounts. Now, I don't like to use the word ban here because the accounts were actually suspended for 6 months. However, I do love that this is happening. I cannot stand playing games with cheaters. And I think it's great when companies that clearly have something to lose, they're going to lose the subscription money from these players for at least 6 months, maybe forever for some of them. Now, that's 100,000 accounts. At $15 a month, let me grab a calculator here. 100,000 accounts times 15 times 6. Whoa, my phone is making too much noise. 100,000 times 15 times 6. That's $9 million. $9 million. That is crazy. All right, so Blizzard is walking away from $9 million at a minimum from these players in order to make the game more fun for the people who are playing the game the right way. This is what they posted on the forums. We've recently taken action against a large number of World of Warcraft accounts that were found to be using third-party programs to automate gameplay, known as bots. We're committed to providing an equal and fair playing field for everyone in World of Warcraft, and will continue to take action against those found in violation of our terms of use. Cheating of any form will not be tolerated. If you believe you've encountered a player using a bot, exploit, or cheat, please let us know. You can do so by using the right-click report functionality in-game, or by emailing information to hacks@blizzard.com. Most of the people who were banned were PvP botters. So in World of Warcraft and PvP, basically you're fighting other players, and some people would have their bot, their character in-game, doing the PvP matches, but not really contributing to the fight. They're just in there running around, and at the end of the match, if their team happened to win, then they would receive the PvP currency, which then they could spend to get better gear so that when they are actually there playing, they would be more likely to win. This is not fun for anybody. So I'm really happy to see that Blizzard is taking a hard stance on this and walking away from lots of money to show their community that they actually care if their PvP is fun. I think that's awesome. Make sure that you have Diablo 3 all patched up on May 21st. That's the 3-year anniversary for Diablo 3, and they're going to be adding in a cow level. This is, I'm sure, related to the hidden cow level from Diablo 2. If you're curious as to what that is, there's a video of it up on the website, runjumpstomp.com. Now, Diablo 3 has been out for for almost 3 years. 21st is the anniversary. And even though it sold like a lot at the very beginning when it came out, a lot of people gave the game a hard time because of the real money auction house. Basically, Blizzard had balanced the loot system so that you should, in order to get the best gear, you would buy it from the real money auction house. You didn't have to use real money for that, but it was a lot easier if you did. Now, when the, not sequel, but first expansion pack came out, I can't remember the name of it, but in it you fight death instead of Diablo. When the first expansion came out, they got rid of the real money auction house and they rebalanced the loot system. They called it Loot 2.0 to really make it so that you were constantly getting that new gear, which in a game like this is really important. A lot of people say that they've gone a long way towards making this game a much, much better game, and I would definitely agree. The main reason I stopped playing is because I broke my arm and I couldn't at the time, and I was under the spell of that game when it came out. I was having so much fun with it. But then I ended up breaking my arm one day, and I couldn't come back for quite a long time. I couldn't use my left arm. So it broke me of that spell of Diablo. Now, that being said, I'm going to be patching right away because the cow level sounds fun. So, 21st, make sure you're patched. This week I'm adding Disney Infinity 3.0 to the wish list. Not for me, but for my son. No, I'm not going to lie. I find the games to be mildly entertaining. It's a lot like taking... I can't remember the name of the game. It's got Spyro the Dragon in it. It's got little figures. Spyro and figures. Skylanders. It's a lot like taking Skylanders and mixing it with Minecraft. Now, the Minecraft part of it I really, really enjoy. I think it's fantastic. You get to build your own world. That's awesome. The parts where you go around and do missions, I don't terribly find that interesting. My son, however, loves it. Now, why am I adding Disney Infinity 3.0 to the wish list? Because of Star Wars. It's going to have Star Wars in it now, and my son and I sat down. I can't remember what website we were watching it on, but there was I think it might have been like a 30-minute look into how they were making these characters, and they were showing them off. Now, a lot of people, I guess people are mixed reviews on this. I think that the characters look fantastic. Specifically, people are complaining that Han Solo doesn't look like Han Solo. I think he looks great. It fits with the overall feel that all of the characters have, because they have to have their own style, because each part of Disney Infinity is pulling together from many, many different art styles. So they readapt every character to the art style of Disney Infinity. And I like the art style of Disney Infinity. The Han Solo figure I thought looked really, really great. The Darth Vader figure I thought looked great. I'm not so sure about the Leia figure. It doesn't strike me as looking like Carrie Fisher. But, maybe I'm wrong about that. But most people were complaining about Han Solo. I think he looked great, and I can't wait to play that game with my son, where we've got the Star Wars figures, and we can put them on the little base and run around and build a Star Destroyer or something. I just think that's going to be a lot of fun. One thing that the game is missing that I think it desperately needs is vehicles. So you can't go out and buy an X-Wing an X-Wing figure and put it on there for Luke to get in and fly around on. I think that would be really cool. When asked about it, they said that would work really well for Star Wars, but they don't have that for any of the other sets, so they wanted to keep it something to where it would be universal. So they're not going to be including the vehicles. I think that might be a mistake, but I don't think it's going to hurt them in the end. I just think that they would sell a bunch if they made them. Anyway, so Disney Infinity 3.0 on the wish list. Probably going to get it this fall when it comes out. And then when The Force Awakens comes out in Christmas, they said that they're going to release a play set that goes along with that. So I'm pretty excited about that too. Thanks for listening to Run, Jump, Stomp. If you want to be part of the show, send an email to runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Or you can now call a phone number That is 260-RUN-JUMP. You can also get a hold of me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, all at Run Jump Stomp. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next week.